Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to build this pergola swing. So let's get started. Alright, I got all the wood purchased now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut everything up into the pieces required to assemble everything. And then we'll come back and then we'll assemble it and we'll show you how to do it. Well, I started putting things together instead of cutting everything. So let me bring you up to speed here. So what I've done so far is this is my 7-foot 4x4. And then this is my 8-foot 4x4. So this and this are 36 inches, those 2x4s. And all these in between are going to be 18 inches. So the overall height is 21 inches. What I did is I kind of made a square first, or a rectangle, put the two 21-inch pieces there, screwed them together with the 2x4s there. And then on each 4x4, I measured up 6 inches from the bottom. And then I screwed in to the 4x4 this way, so I didn't have to pocket hole the top pieces. And same with this, I measured up 6 inches, made sure they're square, boom. So then what I took is I did a measurement on the top and made sure that's inside is 36 inches like the bottom. And then I just took a measurement to that corner there, to that corner there, just a rough estimate, and it came close to 48 inches. Now I wanted a little bit overhang because I want to place it on here and then scribe it underneath and then cut it. So that's what I did, and you can see, so it kind of lines up with that corner. But you noticed here, this corner is touching as well, but it's over a little bit this corner, which I'm okay with, and under in that corner, which is fine because the bottom of it's 7, top of it's 8. So that's what I did there. I screwed in the first piece of the, I guess you want to call them the balusters. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to evenly space it out. So there's 5 that look similar. And then that will look similar to, I can see outside my gazebo there. See my gazebo? So that's why I'm trying to let it build it similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to space these out, screw this in, and then this piece is done. And then I can start working on the other half. Once I get the other half, I have 2 halves of it, then I only need a top piece, 2x6 that goes across 7 feet, and then the bottom one here as well. All right, so before I start putting things together, I'll kind of show you. I do have that one already done. So now I'm doing the other side. So for that side, put the 7-footer on the left and the 8-footer on the right. But now I'm doing the opposite side, so I don't do it backwards. I'm going to put the 8-foot here and a 7-foot here. So I have my two 36-inch pieces that will go in between the 4x4s. And I have my 7 18-inch 2x4s that will be like the balusters and stuff like that. So first things first is one of the 18 inches I'll just kind of put it right against this 4x4 and put these 36-inch 2x4s, one on top, one on the bottom. I'll use my square to make sure it's square to the 4x4, and then I'll put them together to make that rectangle. So it'll make this rectangle all the way around. And once I make the rectangle, I can screw it into the 4x4s and then put these balusters. So what I'm going to do is make that rectangle first and get it secured in the 4x4s. Now that we got these two done, and start working on the actual seat. I'm going to make it 60 inches long, and I'm going to end up having the front and the back 2x4 overhang an extra 2 inches on each side, just so I can drill a hole and put those hooks through, right? So the chain holds onto it. Hopefully it's not too bright, but I have the base of the seat done. As you can see, I cut the 10 degrees here. So now the back will go on a little bit of an angle, so it's not a straight back. So what I did with this one is I cut one first at 21 and then angled it 10 degrees. I put the part where the arms are going to go first before I start putting the back on. So the arms, that part there, are 14 inches tall. And then I'll go across here and we'll tie into the back. So I wanted to cut the one seat board first because, as you noticed, it can't go straight through. So what I had to do is I had to put a reinforcement piece right across here, and I'll show you. I'll lift it up here. You see here, just a piece of 2x4 between there, just to give it a brace, because there would be no stability right there, and at this end, because it's not coming to this 2x4, right? So I had to put a couple little pieces there. And if I would have put the arms on this side, it'd be in a way where I'm going to put that bolt for the chain, right? So I had to have it on the inside. So now I'm going to cut the backing at 24 inches and go up here, right? And then put it against that angle and screw it into that 2x4 and screw it through this way so it's secure. And then I'll put a 2x4 along the top. The back is now in. I'm going to cut a piece of 2x4 for the top. I'm 56 inches and 3/4, so 56 3/4 of an inch there from top to top there, and then we can put the arm piece across to secure it, and that'll kind of add more stability to the back too with the arm. So we'll probably notch out the arm, but I want to make sure that we're not going to be in the way of where the bolt is for the chain. I bought these hooks, right, that I could put a bolt underneath too, and a washer. But the one thing I noticed is there was not enough room to get the chain through. So what I had to do is, for each one, is cut a little piece. Now I had a metal blade for my jigsaw, and I broke 2 of them, but my oscillator worked much better. So as you can see, the little piece there. So I recommend, if you have to cut a little piece of the loop, because trying to pry that thing open wasn't moving with the tools I have here at the cottage, but my oscillator worked great. But to keep it from moving around too much, I had to drill the hole first and then put it in first, because it was hard to get it with a vise and holding it from spinning around. This was the best way to do it. So that's why those are in now before I finish the back. Well, the chair is all done, pretty much. Like, I'll kind of round off the ends of the arms, but other than that, it's ready to go. So now I'm going to start assembling the frame. All right, so here's the one piece here. I put this one up 4 inches from the bottom. I did want to do 6, but the pad here is not level, And instead of me adding bricks and blocks and stuff like that to raise it up, by the time I get to the front left corner, there'll be like 4 blocks because it slopes this way and it slopes this way. So that is the highest corner. So I'm just going to try to make it as level as possible on the slab instead. But I still want to have this level, this 2x6 across, and then the top pieces. So I'm going to put the top piece up now. And since I'm working by myself, what I'm using is I'm putting a clamp on my square here and then sitting the 2x6 on it, and that's how I got this one in. So I'm going to do that for the top, and then I'm going to bring the other piece over, and I should be out in the water. It's beautiful, calm, and I'm not. So let me get the top piece on, and then we'll start assembling. So I got it partially braced as my batteries ran out on my drill, and of course I didn't bring my drills from home. So, but I have it set so the 4x4s are all level, straight up and down, and then I'll end up putting some side braces here in the corners here, some 45s, to get it more stable in the front before I put the roof on. Well, not really a roof, just kind of like almost like a pergola thing where I'm gonna have some 2x4s coming across. Almost forgot to give you an update. I switched the front 2x6, and I went with a 10-footer just because what I'm gonna do is in this next summer, so I'll put a little hook here on each side here, so I could put like a hanging basket. So since I replaced that, I put the 2x6s here. Now, next step, what I did is these cross braces here, they're all 5 feet long. So they overhang about 6 inches on each side. And then the end ones, how I got the distance is I took the actual pergola part, the distance between the pergola part, and then subtracted the distance between where the eye bolts are. So the eye bolts from this end to that end are 62 inches. And then the outside here, actually from the outside of that 2x6 to the outside of that 2x6 is 94. So that left me with 32. So what I did is from there to the first one is 16. So 16, same with this side, from the end of the 2x6 side to the first one is 16. And then instead of just having those two, I wanted to kind of make it even. So I took a distance from here to here and then divided it by 3. So there was 60, so it's 20, 20, 20. So now what I found too is on Amazon is these little hooks that go on to here and that for a swing. So I took the middle of the 5-foot board here and there and drilled all the way through for this. Now they give you double bolts, so the nuts, double nuts. So instead of me going all the way to the top, I left a little bit of room, did it evenly, so underneath it has room to swing. So hopefully this board here or this board here doesn't get touched by the chain. Now it's just an adult swing, it's not a child swing, so nobody's gonna be swinging ridiculous, hopefully. But now what I'm gonna do is I want to prop the swing up enough that it's higher than the backboard here, so when it does swing, that's not in the way. So I'm going to throw a bunch of 2x4s and that up to get it above 12 inches. And then I'm gonna hook it to the hook here, and then we'll see how it looks, and then we'll adjust it if we need to. The swing is now on. Since the cement here slopes, I had to do this chain a little bit lower than this chain. So it's a pain in the butt here because you get that, you're gonna have to lift it up. So what I did is I used the 2x4s and then just propped them in between the railings there to lift the whole seat up above where I wanted it to get it in there. And then you have to kind of just trial and error to see where you get it. And then the front one, you want the front one higher than the back, so it's kind of leaning. So when you're sitting, you're leaning back more, because if you're straight up and down, it feels like you're leaning forward, especially when you start swinging. So you, as you noticed here, I got this one chain 5 from the end and that one 3 from the end. So that's the difference on both sides. So I'm gonna put the cushions on and then we'll finish up the video. And there's the finished product. Much nicer than the old swing that we had. And we bought these cushions on Amazon that were supposed to be for our lounger way over there, but they were too small. And by the time we got back from vacation, they wouldn't allow a refund. So we kept them and they fit perfectly. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that bell to be notified when I post another video. We'll talk to you later.